Hello Llama Squad, welcome to a new mini-series on my channel. For this particular series, I will be creating in-depth videos catered to helping you build houses in The Sims 4. I know it may sound daunting to learn how to build, especially if you're a newbie like I was in the beginning, but I can definitely assure you that with time, practice, and a whole lot of effort, you can create something beautiful step by step. So as a frequent builder, I love looking at images online of houses. I feel like this is where I can gather a ton of inspiration because everything is at read and you don't need to explore the world to get inspired. Although it is nice to walk around neighborhoods, take some notes, and then come back to your drawing board, aka build mode. So as step 1, look for inspiration. Looking for inspiration will not only help you generalize what type of house you want, but it'll help you decide or think of themes, colors, architecture, and a mood. Once you have a house in mind, let that house sink in. Don't overthink it, but have a good idea of how you want it to look. Keep in mind that you can always change anything you build. Nothing is permanent. It's also helpful to have that image of a house with you so that you can always refer back to it when you're building in build mode. Anyway, for the sake of this video, I have pre-selected a house we both can work on. I will leave a link to this house in the description box down below so you can view it for yourself and follow along. Step 2. Lot size. Now that we have a house to work from, or maybe you found another house you want to do, let's choose a lot size to work on. In The Sims 4, there are a ton of lot variations to choose from. For example, say I want to build this lovely giant home, then I would most likely choose a bigger lot compared to this tiny home. Once you've determined the lot size you want to try, you can enter build mode freely by clicking on this icon on the bottom right hand side. By clicking on this icon, you will enter build mode as you can see, but you will also have unlimited simoleons to use. I recommend building all your house this way so that you don't need to worry about your Sims family not having enough simoleons, and you can build the perfect dream house. If you enter build mode with a family on an empty lot, your build funds will most likely come from their household funds, which can be a big no-no if you don't want to drain the funds. So, if you want to move your Sims to an existing lot that you've built, but your Sims family doesn't have the funds to purchase it, you can always use the free real estate cheat by pressing Shift Control C, then typing in free real estate on the left hand corner. This should allow all red lots to turn green, which means your Sims family can now freely purchase any lot on the map without paying a single simoleon. It's pretty cool, huh? So for a house that we're going to work from, it's a semi-small house from the picture, but if you look at its floor plan, it looks quite bigger than you might have expected. As a safe route, I will go for a 30 by 20 lot size. If you ever feel like this lot may be too small or too big, do not freak out. Just simply go back to the map and choose another lot to build on. Step 3. Learn hotkeys. So now that we have our inspiration and our ideal lot size, it's time to go over build mode hotkeys before we begin building. The following hotkeys is ideally supposed to help you build at the tip of your fingertips, but without having to go to the top of the screen and click on a specific tool on the tool finder. It helps if you want to write these down, but I will go over what each tool does and what it's specified to on the keyboard in terms of hotkeys. So the first tool on our tool finder is the select tool. The select tool allows you to select anything placed on the lot. The hotkey for this is H. The second tool is the eyedropper tool, which allows you to duplicate items. The hotkey for this is E. The third hot tool is the design tool, which allows you to select or overview different swatches or colors for a specific item. The hotkey for this is R. The fourth tool is the sledgehammer tool, which allows you to delete anything that is placed on the lot. The hotkey for this is K. The next tool is the undo and redo button. The hotkey for this is Control Z, and the hotkey for redo is Control R. The next tool allows you to save your work to the gallery or your library. You normally don't use this tool until you're completed with your build or at the beginning of your build if you want to download something from the gallery, but feel free to use this as you please. The next tool allows you to move your lot and house. To move your house, the hotkey is U, while to move the entire lot, the hotkey is Y. If you want to delete everything completely on the lot, you can simply bulldoze it, but once you do so, nothing is retrievable. So don't use it unless you're 100% sure you want everything deleted. Otherwise, you're stuck to having to redo your entire build, or you might have been lucky and saved it previously, so you might need to restart your game if that happens, but definitely only bulldoze your lot if you know you don't need the lot, and if you're going to bulldoze it and you're still unsure, just make sure you save the game prior. Lastly, the last tool on the tool finder is the time of day. It also helps to work in bright daytime, so I tend to work in the afternoon mode. The hotkey to switch the time of day is L. Some other hidden hotkeys is the wall tool. The hotkey for this is B, and this allows you to build singular walls. Moreover, as you press the hotkeys for B, it brings up other room tools that you can use to build your house. Another hidden hotkey is the grid tool. The grid is perfect if you want to align certain parts of your build, but for the most part, I use it to count how far a wall should be, or if I want to center the entire lot itself. The hotkey for this is G. But anyways, definitely explore everything in build mode, and eventually you will be able to find what you need without hesitation. These are all very helpful hotkeys to help you build more efficiently, so if there are any that I might have messed up or missed out on, please comment down below so we can all learn your tips and tricks as well. Step 4. Build a house. Alright guys, so now that we have our inspiration, we chose the right lot, and we have a solid understanding of what keys we can use to build, we can finally get along to building the foundation of the house. When you think about houses and compare it to The Sims 4, you may notice that everything is basically made up of boxes and then smaller boxes inside or around that box, if that makes any sense at all. So if you were like me, my first ever home on The Sims 4 was one giant rectangle box. And honestly guys, I am telling you now that I have came such a long way since my first house build, and you definitely can too. I will have the house image we are going to attempt to duplicate on the side here for reference, but the cool thing about this house is that it gives us a floor plan to follow, which is a diagram that shows the arrangement of rooms in the building. This allows us to determine what goes where, and it definitely helps if you're unsure of where to put the bathroom, bedroom, backyard, etc. But don't freak out, I will have it all together for you, but first, let's build the exterior and then worry about the interior later. I will also have a separate video for the interior design and floor planning later on, and not in this video as it'd be too long, but definitely stick around on my channel to see what it'll look like and how to build a floor plan and how to recreate it and everything, all that stuff. I will go through that step by step in another video, but today we're only going to be focusing on the outside of the build. So I'm going to go ahead and press B, which will bring me up to the wall tools. Now that I refer back to the floor plan, the house is simply a giant rectangle. To save time, click on the room tool icon, which is next to the wall tool icon, and drag the room tool to be 10 by 16. This will allow us to have the perfect size house for this build. You can even move your lot further back if needed, but that's all up to you. Next, go ahead and grab the flat square tool and create a mini porch. You can also use this roof for the very top of the house. This will create a foundation for us to build a roof on top later. Be sure to use a flat square in the center. Next, add some foundation height to your house. If we refer back to our house image, it has a height of 3 steps, so let's go ahead and copy that. Of course, you can always raise it higher or lower if you want to fully custom your house. Remember that it doesn't need to look exactly like the reference picture, but hopefully it'll help you understand how to build from a picture and the layout of it all. Step 5. Roof. Roofing can be tricky, but go ahead and select the first roof that is shown. Place the first roof on the porch, then the exact same roof slightly behind it, making sure that they're about even on height and not uneven. To make it flow more together, drag the porch to the second roof so that it intersects and doesn't have a hanging spot, and so it just flows all together. Now pick up another roof, exactly the same style, but this time rotate it, and this is going to be the main roof of the house. If you find your roof's a little off or too short, you can always drag it back, drag it forward. And another tip is that if you don't want little trimmings to oversee other roof, there are buttons on the roofs which you can drag outwards or inwards to change the shape of the roof. You can even make it look curvy, make it look pointy. It's all up to you guys. It's really customizable in The Sims 4, so definitely keep playing around with it until you find a style that you like and that you're happy with. So let's add some foundation decor. So this house doesn't really have a foundation that's similar to the one in the picture, but I tend to use the plain white one. I noticed that the front of the house has brick, but the back doesn't, so maybe a plain white foundation is best, but choose whichever one you like the most. Next on our list is adding pillars. Not all houses have pillars, but for this particular house it does. I tend to use these white solid ones from the Get Together expansion pack, but you can use whichever one you please. I think these base game white ones look the most similar to the picture, but I personally dislike the look of it because they look kind of old, and although it is a kind of like a starter home, I would rather have these nice clean looking white ones. So after we have our pillars in place, let's go back to add some roof trimming, as I forgot to earlier in step 5. Alright guys, now we can begin choosing wallpapers for the house. If we go back to the roofs, we can take it a step further by selecting which roof pattern we want. According to our picture, we have a dark roof, so any dark color roof should be fine, but I'm going to select my personal favorite roof wallpaper. So now that we're making progress with the house, let's select a wallpaper sliding for the house. If we go to wallpapers and select sliding from one of the sections, we can pick out a gray wallpaper from the simple sliding. Step 8, doors and window. Our house is finally coming together on the exterior, but now we need to add doors and windows. As our front door, we have 2 options to select from that I believe can work similar to the one in our reference picture, but I think the first one I chose suits this house best for this purpose. For windows, I chose the Suburban Outlook window, and I tried my best to match up the sizes and style according to my reference picture. Of course, sometimes you can't always match up to the picture exactly, but get it to look as close to the house as much as possible, and I think we'll be fine. If you had custom content, it would work perfectly, as I have plenty of custom content objects, especially in build mode. I also noticed that the door has some outside lamps, so let's add that in real quickly. You can find these outside lamps by going to the outside objects category or lighting category. I'm also going to change these pillars as I really dislike the look of it, but feel free to keep them as is or change them to whatever your heart desires. Lastly, I'm going to showcase how I normally design my landscaping for almost all of my houses. I am not that big on landscaping, but I definitely try to keep it minimal. To start off, I take the airbrush tool and repaint the ground a pretty even green color to eliminate any unwanted dirt spots on the lot. Then I go to tiles and I choose a generic concrete tile to use as a walkway to the front door. If I have a garage I created, I also make a walkway for that, or a paved way, I guess, driveway, whatever it's called. Also, I'm not that keen of using the airbrush tool, but I like to make it even, so that's why I tend to use tiles. Next, I like to decorate the exterior with putting flowers and bushes lined up against the walls. I try to mix up the flowers and bushes, especially in sizes and colors, so that's not too matchy, and I just tend to, you know, make it look full and luscious but not overgrown. And then I tend to duplicate things around the house quite a bit. I try to keep plants and stuff to a minimum, like I said, because I don't want the house to look overgrown. And I also tend to use dirt tiles instead of using the airbrush tool to create dirt. The only time I use the airbrush tool to make a dirt effect is under a mailbox or underneath trees. And for tree placement, I like to usually put at least 1 to 2 trees in the front. Usually I put a tree closer to the house and then one farther away from the house so that it creates depth. And I also like to place at least 1 to 2 bushes of flowers or rocks to make it look more natural. And yeah, I feel like it just adds a cute touch when you add things next to a tree. So once you've got your flower bushes, your trees, and everything nice and ready to go for landscaping, be sure to add a mailbox like I just mentioned, and I feel like this is all you need for a house. Our last step would to be decorate the interior, but I'm going to save that for another video because I want to explain how I decorate, how I choose my colors, and you know, just how I create a house in the inside, because it's a whole lot of content to go over and I'm gonna need more time for that, and so I don't want to make this video so long, but I definitely hope you stay tuned for that. I hope you guys learned something along the way over the course of this very long tutorial. I really am trying my best to cover as much content as I possibly can without it being too drastically long. If you want to see more tutorials and more of my content, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can be part of the Llama Squad. Don't forget to also enable post bell notifications so you'll receive notifications of whenever a new video goes live. Lastly, be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts so you can see more of my life. I'd love to see other interpretations of this house and what you guys do with it, so feel free to tweet them to me. As always, I hope you guys have a great day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time.